With the Mariner class coming soon to the Lord of the Rings Online and currently in beta, I wanted to rank the classes based on how fun they are. But you may notice this weird box on the right.
Hey, I'm Aubrey the Weird One, the weirdo.
That's right, I have Aubrey here to help me rank the classes. That way it's not just a monologue of me sharing what I think this whole time.
Thanks for having me here, Louie. I really appreciate it. I've actually really got started because of your channel, so I just wanted to say it's an honor to be here, really. This is going to be exciting.
It is. All right, so first off here is the Lore Master, which kind of interesting is the very first class I ever tried in LOTRO, but I did not like it at the time.
Same. That's so funny.
It gave me a very bad first impression of the game, and I think it's part of the reason I did not continue past that. They actually had free trials back then. It was so long ago.
Wow. Yeah, that was the very first class I tried, like, what? Sub like 15, 16-ish years ago now, and I was like, I do not like this game.
Yeah.
So, now it's okay, though. I mean, Lore Masters they're definitely a more advanced class as they're labeled, and I think that they definitely reflect that. But they're fun to me. I enjoy playing Lore Master. I really like the pets and like the companions that you have, which are...
Exactly. I love that they have cat pets.
Yeah. As the appearance of your cat comes through. Yeah.
So no other class can actually say that they have cat pets, so that is one big positive of the Lore Master. I like mages and just spellcasters in general, so nowadays I don't mind the Lore Master too much, and they are... How fun are they? The categories we have here are like most fun, reserved for the absolute most fun class or classes, then very fun, and then some might be not fun or boring, but we'll see if those categories even get filled. So my first thought is probably very fun.
I was gonna say very fun too, because I'm also someone that likes sages or mages as well. I definitely am not a tank kind of person at all. And I think they have really cool animations like Lightning Storm and all of that. I
mean, there's hardly anything more satisfying in the game than exploding a camp of orcs with one Lightning Storm.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, we're on the same wavelength there.
Right, so this class sounds like it was pretty straightforward since we both like it and it's very fun, but you mentioned you don't like tanks, so next up is the Guardian.
Ugh.
Back in the day, used to basically only be a tank.
Yeah, so much has changed.
And they don't have cat pets.
Yeah, they don't have cat pets. What the heck? For me, I still think of Guardians as slow killers. I still think that they're relatively slower when it comes to taking out mobs.
After the update, they're definitely faster. The recent Guardian revamp, and I don't know, I really like the Guardian after the revamp. At least the DPS. The tank I can't really speak to as much because I don't really do that on the Guardian. I prefer tanking on other classes. Honestly, be putting it in the very fun category.
Really?
But, yeah.
I was gonna say boring, but
boring. Oh wow.
I mean, DPS is fine. Just I don't know. Okay. I just prefer something a little more faster, or maybe just a little more. I don't know. It just doesn't feel as like buff as it used to feel anyway.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good point though. Even if I find just the DPS spec very fun, have to consider the class as a whole, and they have a tank spec that I don't have as much fun with. Some people enjoy Guardian tank, which I'm very thankful when they tank all the dungeons for me, but I don't enjoy it as much. So how about, would fun work?
I'll go for fun. Yeah, I'll go for fun grudgingly.
Okay. It's a sharp transition, I realize, from fun just straight to not fun. It can't be a little bit fun.
I mean, it can be fun. I used to enjoy it actually a little bit more back in the day than how it is now. I don't know. I feel like it was more straightforward back then, but...
All right, so we've settled on Guardian here at fun, but what about burglar? For me, I don't play burglar that often, even though there are parts about it that I theoretically should like and should make it fun. So I don't know, I'm curious your thoughts on burglar to start.
So this is going to be interesting. I don't play burglar that much, but I absolutely love playing burglar, which is funny because it used to be my top, my worst 3 classes. It would always hit the rank, and now it's on my top 3 most fun classes.
Oh, wow.
I would say most fun.
Oh.
Yeah, I would go that far.
I don't know if I could give it that. So
That's fair.
what parts of the burglar do you enjoy most? Do you like a specific spec like blue line red or support with yellow?
Oh, man, so I'm gonna get blasted by a certain someone, but I like blue line burglar
Okay.
and lower levels, and then I like to go to red line, which according to some people is like not the right way, even though they're both kind of the same output of DPS. But I like
Yes.
blue line a lot better because it's just more like damage over time based. But I also
Hmm.
like the sound animation, like the effects, the sound effects, the animations. I really enjoyed the stealth aspect, which I'm not a stealthy kind of person. But with burglar, I actually feel like I could survive even without doing the stealth aspects of it. Now, granted, it would take a lot
Yeah.
longer to take out people, but I don't know. I just really enjoy it for a numerous amount of reasons because it seems like it's just such a like diverse class.
I definitely agree with you actually. I prefer blue line. It's just more fun to play to me than red line. Red line gets better at high levels. Like when you get high level in LOTRO, you get so many trait points that you can get a lot of like abilities and certain things from other specs to make them maybe more enjoyable or feel more well-rounded in their gameplay. But I would definitely give you the blue line is quite fun. And that's what I
Yeah.
enjoy most also on my low level burglars.
Yay, I'm not alone.
Things that I tend to like about it and enjoy is that LOTRO actually does have APM in the way that the abilities work since there's no global cooldown. So it's a high APM class, high actions per minute, so you get to press a lot of buttons rapidly. I'm not necessarily the best at it, but they have a lot of abilities that are tagged immediate, so you can use them immediately and cancel the animation of your like current ability or whatever, and it just allows you to attack faster. So I enjoy that aspect. But just from a class fantasy perspective, I'm not that much into like the stealthy, sneaky, pickpocket, backstabbing class that they kind of are.
That's fair. That's fair. It's definitely like I feel like in any other game, I'm not like I try to stealth, but I'm never really good at that, and I never prefer to choose a class like that. But for burglar, I don't know. I just feel like it's more like I don't know. It's just more straightforward or easier, maybe.
It kind of plays to that classic archetype, though. I think fits really well in Lord of the Rings and Middle Earth, of course. So if we had to pick one rating for it, where does it sound like it's going? Would very fun
Where-
work?
Yeah, we could do
Okay.
that. I was like,
'Cause
I don't know what you would do.
This cat screeching spaces. She just. This is why my characters randomly jump and spin around when I'm just trying to play LOTRO. It's because she just sits on my
It's because of
keyboard.
the cat. I love it. I think your cat's trying to say something and put burglar in the not fun category.
I'm okay with that.
I love it. Well, Piper declared that burglars are not fun, so
Maybe she won't notice. I'll sneak it back there.
yeah, she
We'll,
won't.
we'll go
Yeah,
in
that
stealth
sounds-
mode.
Yeah.
Completely different class. Almost feels like the opposite of burglar. Runekeeper, another magical class.
Yeah.
Kind of like Lore Master, but also very different than Lore Master because you use runestones and linguistics.
Yeah, Runekeeper right now is kind of like my main class, so
Okay.
I'm a little more biased, I guess, with it.
Mhm.
I would say for me the fun thing about Runekeeper is that yeah, like lightning. I do like the yellow tier Runekeeper,
Oh, yeah.
of course, but yellow line. But I definitely love the lightning animations as well with that. I just feel like I don't know lore bases like if it's a more goes based off of the books and stuff, but knowing that it's kind of based off of Celebrimbor, I'm like, all right, I can kind of see it. Like it kind of makes
Okay.
some sense. So I feel like lore-wise, I think it's relatively good. And then just overall, I have an enjoyment with the class. It feels a little light sometimes to me, but that could happen with any class, and maybe it's
Light?
just my stats.
Light like
Yeah.
squishy or
Yeah, squishy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are light armor, so it's
Yeah.
they can definitely be squishy.
Yeah, for
But-
sure. I would say I would teeter it on fun.
Oh. Wait, so
Yeah.
it's your do you say your most played class or your highest level?
Well, right now it's kind of my main class. Yeah.
Okay, but only fun?
It's fun. I mean, yeah, maybe very fun, but I'm like, I'm kind of, I don't know. It gets repetitive for me.
Okay, so I go through phases with the Runekeeper. And at times it can be near the top like most fun, and at other times it can be very fun. If you asked me a couple months ago, I would have easily been fine with the very fun category. But recently, I've played my Runekeeper a little bit more, in particular doing delvings at the level cap in Yellow Line, and it was just very fun. But yeah, I really do enjoy the class. The Yellow Line, as you mentioned, is great from, I don't know, just leveling, playing LOTRO solo. Even in groups, it can be useful. Red Line, can't complain about burning things. I mean, that basically satisfies my want to play a fire mage in LOTRO.
Yeah, burn everything.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I even enjoy healing on the Runekeeper. I don't enjoy healing on all classes that have a healing spec, but the Runekeeper might be at the top for me. We'll have to see when we get to other classes, but I do enjoy healing on them.
I'm glad you mentioned the healing, because that is a really good thing, because I love a good old healer, and I do feel like Runekeeper is pretty good with that, and it's kind of like more flexible in comparison to other healers.
Yeah.
I'll make it very fun. You've convinced me on the healing. Okay. I didn't think about that. Good. Yeah. Very fun.
I think very fun fits.
Yeah.
It doesn't have cat pets. If it had those, maybe it could be most fun.
You're so right. What the heck? LOTRO devs, if you're listening. No, I'm kidding.
So at this point, we've rated 4 classes. We have Captain and a few others coming up, but I'm kind of been curious about your experience playing LOTRO and like how long you've played LOTRO, how much you've played these classes.
Yeah, good question. Well, I played LOTRO. Gosh, I'm going to date myself. I was 6 years old when I first started playing LOTRO. And that was 16 years ago. So I've played since the beginning. I started with Lore Master, and I didn't like it, like we've addressed. And Hunter was the second one I did, and I absolutely loved it. I will just say that I've played a long time. I started streaming, actually, LOTRO about almost 3 years ago now. So I've met a lot of great people playing the game. And yeah, I played all of the classes, some more than others. I definitely have a big love for this game, and I feel like it's important to at least kind of get more of Lord of the Rings out there, you know? Like, people need to know about LOTRO, and I feel like it's kind of slept on, so...
Yeah, it's surprising how many people love Lord of the Rings, but don't seem to know LOTRO exists.
Right? Yeah, so I feel like that's kind of the base of my channel, was to at least have more people exposed to it. So I'm glad that hopefully that's helped a little bit.
And a challenge for maybe people that are new to the game could be picking a class, whether it's based on how well the class does in certain situations or just how plain fun it is overall. So hopefully this is helpful to you all that might be trying to pick a class. As we get to Captain here. So is Captain a good, fun class? For me, one of the first ones that I'm not as positive about, even with the recent revamp. Captain's very much so a group-oriented class, and I do play group content, but I spend most of my time playing group content on other classes. So I end up soloing it on it a lot, and even with the recent revamp to greatly improve their solo experience, it's just not the most fun to me. Especially at low levels. I recently did something on a lower level captain, like level 20-ish, and honestly, I was getting bored after about 20-30 minutes of gameplay on it.
Yeah, I definitely think Captain's one of my bottom, and I think it is because it is such a group-oriented class, like you said. But yeah, I feel like it's just so boring to me. I can't even explain it. I like the class concept, but I just don't like the execution. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I actually really like the blue line, the healer one. That's probably the most fun one to me, but even then, it's just not the most fun to me.
Yeah, I definitely think it's not fun.
Not fun. I think that's better than boring, because if you go from the class fantasy and just general, like, way that the class is built, I don't think that's boring. I think that could actually be fun or very fun, but actually playing the captain to me, not as fun.
Agreed. I think you said that perfectly. I 100% agree with you on that because, yeah, Captain is. I think that, like you said, the concept's great, but execution-wise, I don't know. It's just not. It's not it yet.
So that one was relatively easy. I thought it was going to be controversial because I'm not as much of a fan of it.
No.
But how about Minstrel? I think another controversial take that I have is I don't like healing on the Minstrel, but I love DPSing on them.
Yes, I totally agree. Actually, Minstrel was one of the first classes that I got to like the max level at the time, which was 100. But that was actually one of my first classes I really like got through. And I really enjoyed the DPS. I feel like people didn't realize how good the DPS was for it, and I soloed it.
Yes, it's great for DPS and solo. I have so much fun because it's kind of like going back to spellcasters. It's kind of like you can kind of think of it like a mage, but it's totally different than what you would typically think with like a wizard. It's more so that they just shout at enemies and play music and they kind of die. But it's so powerful too.
Right. I will say the shouting, even for captains, okay, I do really like the shouts.
Yeah, the shouting can be fun.
Right? Yeah. Minstrel, I think, is definitely it's a very fun class to me because I really enjoy it. And I think that more people are maybe just so focused on the healing aspects of it. Because, I mean, healing aspects, it's okay. But DPS-wise, that's incredible.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like, if Minstrel were only a healer, that would actually be a very easy, boring rating to me.
Agreed.
But just because it has the DPS spec, I definitely think we can bump it up to very fun. Yeah, and that seems we have the 3 light armor classes here at Very Fun. All them tactical is what it's called in LOTRO to basically mean spell casting.
Yeah, and plus minstrels, you can literally teach people musical instruments. Like you can play bagpipes. So
yes, I love bagpipes. That's my favorite instrument for my minstrel.
Let's go, yeah.
He has a kilt and everything.
That's awesome. I'm nervous about this next one.
All right, next up here is Warden. Enough said. Most fun. Next class, Hunter.
No.
No. Is there a problem here?
Yeah, there's a big problem for me.
What? It's the Warden, though.
Oh gosh, I don't know where to start. I swear everyone's gonna turn against me, but I think I'm the only person that just definitely does not like Warden. I call it the button mashing class because I feel like you have to study the gambits. Yeah.
Button mashing?
Yeah, oh. I feel like it's a strategical button mashing class because you have to you have your 3 base skills. And then in order to even get better DPS or even damage over time even, you have to align your skills, but you have to go take 2 extra steps in comparison to any other class on this board, really.
Kind of. I get what you're saying with the gambit system, but to me that's the opposite of button mashing. I think of button mashing as we'll get to the champion here, or even the guardian classes we've already rated, where you're just pressing the abilities when they come off cooldown, that type of button mashing. But it's something that can be very tricky to get into. So if I had to rate this for a very new player, I would have to admit the Warden's probably not the most fun class to start at LOTRO, because even for me, as much fun as I have on the Warden right now, I didn't enjoy it when I started LOTRO way back however many years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing too, is that with my kind of content, I do try to focus more towards newer players. And if I were a newer player going into the game, I did not like Warden. I still don't. But yeah, I think the one thing I will say for the class is that it is pretty flexible because you can fix your combo system or totally erase it and start over again pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. So I'll give it that. I would totally, if this were just me, I would totally say boring, but we can be in the middle and just say fun if we need.
Okay, we can start at fun, but to try to maybe push it up a little bit to very fun. How about just set aside its gameplay completely? How about the general class fantasy aesthetics like spear, javelin, shield, medium armor, agile, can tank, DPS, ranged or melee? How about that?
That's fine. I'm not like a javelin type of person. Like I don't like I do like that they have a little bit of like long range skills. I do typically try to go for classes with more long range abilities. So I don't know, just based off of aesthetics, I'm like, I don't need a class like that personally. So I'm sticking to fun.
Sticking to fun.
I think that's pushing it for me.
Oh, this is such a struggle. I can move it down to very fun, but my hand just doesn't want to go lower. You know, okay, there is actually one thing that can drop them down to fun for me. My hand gets so sore playing the Warden.
Oh, I bet.
Because I have to, like, I have my setup where I'm using the control bar, shift bar, F1 through F3, and then 1, 2, 3.
Gosh, yeah.
And it's like, because once you get the Gambit Masteries, it's now like level 40 instead of 20 like it used to be.
Yeah.
It's a lot of buttons, even if it's maybe less than other classes. You're using it would be 12 of those very frequently. Yeah, and very rapid paced.
Have you also played like a Warden lower level, like a newer Warden? Because I did recently, and I was like, this is it definitely is a better class the like higher level you are too. So
that's true. Even with the revamp, like the progression makes a lot more sense with the revamp they did. I think it's a lot better for a new player if you are interested in getting into the Warden, but you're still limited in the gambits you have. All right, we can settle on fun.
You're like, if I have to move it to fun.
I'm just trying to think about what I don't like about the Warden. I know the shouting annoys people, and you can even filter that sound if you don't like it, but I like the shouting.
Wow. Yeah, I love the shouting.
I actually do have something. So with the revamp, I haven't had as much fun just playing my Warden and DPS spec. I think the tank spec is a whole lot better than it used to be, and I have so much fun with that. But I feel like the Redline Warden could actually use some improvements from the revamp. It might seem a bit strange, but they're just like little details, or if you don't even know it from too much before the revamp, I love the yellow line before they removed it. There are like some little things that I used to have in yellow line that just aren't a part of the class in any spec anymore, and I kind of miss some of that stuff. So trying to find reasons. There are actual reasons that it can be knocked down, I guess, I suppose, if it had to.
Yeah, maybe I'm just so like closed-minded on Warden. I'm like, no, this is hard. This is too much work.
I really would encourage you to give it a try, though. Again, it can be.
I will.
Very fun.
I definitely am. It's in my future streams and videos coming up. Don't worry.
All right, we spent, as much as I like them, too much time talking about the Warden. We need to move on to Champion, which is an interesting class, and that I personally can really enjoy it for short bursts, but I get bored of it after a while. A little unusual in that I don't like the yellow line AoE spec that much, and I prefer the single target red line. It's just more fun to me.
Yeah, for Champion, I have bursts with it as well. I think it's fun, and yeah, yellow line, I've never really cared for yellow line personally, which is really weird, but I always went red. I think that I like the setup of the class. Like, I feel like with the heavy armor, and then you have like dual wield, or you can even kind of change that now. I like the aesthetics of it. Okay. I do kind of like some of the animations. Yeah,
they do.
I think overall it's a decent build class, but it's definitely one that kind of gets a little boring.
And I'll even compare it directly to the Guardian, which is a bit more oriented towards tanking, or at least used to be in the game. And I prefer Guardian if I just want to play a basic melee warrior type thing that does damage. So I personally, especially after the revamp, find Guardian more fun than Champion. And I think based off that, I personally would have to put it in the not fun category, which I feel like isn't too fair, because again, I can have fun on it in short bursts, and I can enjoy red line and even blue line. I feel like it belongs kind of in between fun and not fun for me personally, so I'll let you sway it in one direction.
I agree. The only thing I disagree with is that I actually have a little more fun with Champion over Guardian. I do compare them a lot. I think for soloing, I prefer Champion, because like Guardians are just so built on more defense. And then it's like I I can kind of take away the shield, which I typically do with some of my guardians, but then all of your skills are kind of like grayed out, or a good chunk of them anyway. So I don't know. I would try to put champion more towards fun, but I'm willing to put it at not fun if we need to.
No, I'm really right in between on them, so I feel like I should have done a little fun category because that's right where it would fit for me.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but there's no way that Guardian is fun and then Champion would be like not fun. You know what I mean? Like I find Champion and Guardian kind of the same in some ways.
Okay. I think that's reasonable. Also for a new player, I think Champion is a very good basic class to get into, so it can be a great class to start out with LOTRO. And if you do get bored of it, you can always make a new character and try a different class.
Yep, true. I do really think that the AoE is what makes it fun for champions, because it has like the most AoE skills in comparison to any other class that I've come across, and I think that definitely helps with the class like funness.
Yeah. Even if you're in the single target spec, some of your AoEs can be quite strong and helpful.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
For another relatively basic class that's always recommended for new players, we have the Hunter, which is kind of like the range counterpart to Champion. It's got range damage and, well, that's about it. It does technically have a utility trapper line that a lot of people don't like it. I personally actually really enjoy Yellow Line Hunter. It's not the most powerful, but it's really enjoyable to me. There are also some interesting things you can do with the explosive dummy.
Yeah, I've seen some stuff.
Yeah, otherwise, I mean, it's a pretty straightforward. Blue line, you're mobile and can shoot things on the range. That's great. Red line, you can deal a whole bunch of damage. And interestingly, in my experience with landscape difficulty, I know we haven't talked about that too much or at all. If I'm running on max difficulty tier 9 solo, Redline Hunter has been one of the best classes because they just pump out so much damage from range, and they do have some crowd control abilities to help as well. So if you're interested in very difficult solo content for some reason in LOTRO, Redline Hunter could for some reason be an interesting choice even compared to some of your tankier classes.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because I recently did a stream where I was on tier 9 landscape difficulty, but I was starting new characters and we were trying to get to level 20. And someone recommended to do a Hunter because of the long range skills and all of that. So it didn't go well, because I was a low level. But I'm interested to at least see like higher levels, what it's kind of like.
Okay, yeah, I was kind of curious. You mentioned low level because my experience was like level 50-ish in Moria. So it was a bit higher up. I had my stuff. I had my legendary weapons by then, which helped a lot in this game.
Yeah, I'll have to try it on a higher level. But I remember someone recommended Hunter, and I was like, what? Like, they're going to die instantly, but it's a good strat.
I don't know. All that makes me lean right now, at least towards probably fun. Could be pushed up to very fun.
I think I'm going to go the opposite way.
Oh.
I don't know what it is, but recently when I've played my Hunters, I find it's kind of similar to Champion where I have short bursts for it. Like it's fun, and then I just get kind of bored because I'm typically always hitting the same skills more or less for it.
Oh, that is, I think, true. You have a ton of like utility abilities, especially at higher levels, but the like main abilities that you use to deal damage are a bit more limited. So it's like always swift bow, quick shot, barbed arrow.
I'm torn because it's a good class for like a basic class.
It is. And I think it's a great all-around class. Like when I think about the individual specs of the Hunter, I don't rate them all high, but they're all, like, to me at least, fun to play.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay, you convinced me.
We're good with fun? Okay.
Yeah.
We have a lot of fun classes, which is good. Yeah. We still have all the light ones, squishy ones up here are very fun.
I'm just seeing like all these magey classes. It's very fun.
That is what I enjoy.
Same, so that's something that we kind of we agree on. So.
Honestly, the Warden is an exception in LOTRO.
Yeah,
usually, more into the mages and a little bit Guardian. And actually, Beorning, I have a lot of fun on the Beorning, especially after the revamp. Before the revamp, I hated the Redline Beorning. I was by far my least favorite spec in the entire game, but now I actually like it. So I'm very positive and up on the Beorning right now.
I love Bjorning. I put it on most fun. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it sounds like we could agree that it's the most fun class.
I think when the class first came out, I didn't have the best time with it, but I recently tried it again, and oh my gosh, I felt so like overpowered a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Like there's just so much that you can do, and their DPS is just incredible. I love it. It's a great class.
Thinking outside of DPS, their tank spec, you can, even after the revamp now, survive so much stuff and self-healing in that. Of course, the L line also has a lot of healing, a bit more direct healing than they used to have with the revamp, but it's just got everything really.
Yeah, it really does. And I think like I don't do group content really, so I don't know how Bjornings hold up too much there, but I mean they can pretty much do everything, like the heals or tanking even. But you can also shape into a bear, which I just think is lots of fun to do. So.
I don't know, just really enjoyable. Every spec I can have fun, but I personally prefer even playing solo. I like the blue line just because of the defenses, survivability, self-healing. But now the red line is so much better than it used to be.
Yeah, Redline is definitely a lot better now too. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, quick question. Where's Brawler? I just noticed. I was like, wait.
Brawler. You know, it's kind of interesting. I recently made a video talking about, it was the roasting the classes video. And I always forget about the Brawler. I didn't even mean for that to happen here. I added the Mariner, so it's updated. Yeah. I just didn't realize it didn't have Brawler.
I was like, oh yeah, Bjorning. And then I was like, oh wait, Brawler too.
So to make up for me completely forgetting about Brawler, they get their own screenshot here for us to talk about them. So for me, besides the Brawler being forgettable, that doesn't necessarily mean it's not fun to play, because I can have fun to play. And I also have to shout out a friend who has been on the channel sometimes before, Dan's Adventures. We spent a little while duoing a bunch of instances that we had no business even doing two-man with just two of us. Like, we did all the Great Barrows. We even did Fornos, which is a very difficult instance, especially the last wing we were able to do two of us, and even some newer instances with like modern stats. So it's got a lot of power to it. And mind you, we did that in DPS spec. Sorry, I don't have any video recording of that, but you know, it can be a lot of fun. That has been the most fun experience I have had on the Brawler. Otherwise, it's kind of been meh. And I think some of my issues, just to get into them, stem from the early days. I don't feel like the Brawler launch was that great of an experience. Hopefully when we talk about Mariner here, it will be better. Didn't like it too much on launch, and it just felt like such a rough, unrefined, incomplete class.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the concept of the class, I was very negative about. I was like, how are we just gonna like start punching people, like punching things? And that's the class, like DPS. But I think it's definitely improved a lot, and I find it very enjoyable. But I mean, overall, it still needs a little more work. Yeah. I've actually enjoyed the concept a lot more now. Since at first I was like, that's a little weird, but okay.
Yeah, I will say that I'm not into the class fantasy at all, which doesn't help. Yeah. I'm just like, any game I play, I don't want to play a fist fighter type class. Yeah. Essentially, so.
Yeah, I think I haven't played too much of Brawler recently. But I've seen some people that I've seen play Brawler with like higher levels, they're like pretty decent, like tanks even. I think that it's a really decent class, but yeah, the fantasy of it, I'm like, weird a little bit, and yeah, I'm not into the fist fighter classes really either. But I think Brawlers, I would even say it's a very fun, enjoyable class.
Very fun. Okay, so I would probably have to knock that down one, but I think if you're into punching things. A lot of people are, like playing Hobbit Brawler seems to be pretty popular. If you're into punching things, occasionally giving them a good knee jab, Brawler's a great class for that, and it's the only thing that does that in LOTRO. And it has, relative to other classes, a lot newer made animations, which tend to be fancier, so they do have quite fancy and sometimes over-the-top animations, which can be enjoyable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always gotta remember my positive experiences with the Brawler that are more recent. I would still tend towards fun for them.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like I'm definitely in a phase with Brawler right now where I keep seeing other people who are playing it, and I think they're very fun, so I'll get down to fun for sure.
Okay. It's not like this category's bloated or anything. We can fit one more in there.
All. Yeah. Yeah, Brawler's it's definitely a class that I think has proven itself over time.
So one of the main drivers for this video is the new class, the Mariner. It's not quite out in the full game yet, but at this point, the time of recording, we have had 2 rounds of beta with it, including the exclusive early preview that we got to test out Mariner. And I made a video titled, I am impressed, because I was very impressed with the Mariner based on the beta experience. I since then have played a little bit more, but I tend to complain about LOTRO betas and the way they're run a lot. So setting that aside for now, I haven't had the most playtime with it. I'm curious how much you've had a chance to play the Mariner.
Yeah, I have had 30 minutes.
30 minutes, okay. That's a lot less than me.
Yeah, sorry. I can give a little bit here, but
okay.
You know.
I've maybe made it up to 2-ish hours of actual gameplay. I've spent a lot more time just setting the character up to get any gameplay. What level did you play the Mariner at, though? Did you like start from the beginning?
I actually maxed him to 140, and I was doing some of that. So.
Maybe focusing less on its power level as it's still in development and balance is going to change. How about just its mechanics, how fun it has been to play, even build class fantasy? I mean, Mariner is very different than what we have, yet there's, as I've described it, a lot of familiarity with other classes. So I'm kind of curious, maybe your first impressions on it.
When I first heard about like the class concept and all of that, I thought it was going to be fantastic. Like I was very excited for this. Mechanics wise though, I'm kind of falling. It wasn't as fun. I think I had my expectations a little too high, maybe.
See, I had my expectations very low from the Brawler, so I'm like, I'm coming into the class the opposite of you.
That's fair. Yeah, because I mean, Brawler, I was like, eh. I think what really kind of bummed me out too with Mariner is that I saw it was an advanced class, and I was kind of hoping it would be a moderate one from what I heard. But I mean, I understand why it's advanced, but I'm just I'm tired of advanced classes coming out.
Yeah. I think. People enjoy, at least some people enjoy the advanced classes, but it is true. It's good. This is going to be a very rough class if you are new to the game. It takes a long while. I don't even think I have the full hang of the gameplay. I've only played a couple hours, but it's like working out an actual rotation is going to be a nightmare on this class with the way the swordplay mechanic works, where you basically have a sequence of abilities. It's not quite like the Warden's Gambit system. I think it's a little bit closer to the Brawler's setup and then whatever finisher or other ability use system, but it's not quite like the Brawler either in terms of gameplay. And then you also have the Runekeeper attunement thrown in, except unlike the Runekeeper, you don't just consume it with powerful abilities when you're at the end. You actually stun yourself if you get too far forward or aftward, as it's called. It's a very complicated to get started with. So if we're thinking about new players like with Warden, I would probably have to knock it down as maybe not being the most fun for somebody new to the game.
Yeah, I think when I first heard about the class concept, I thought it would be more like burglar for sure. And it definitely has skills that are kind of a little bit copy and pasted from Warden or from burglar.
Yeah.
It definitely does have more Warden abilities to it as well. With I guess like just the combo system really, and then it does throw in that Runekeeper attunement thing. I didn't really like how advanced it was. I guess
I can totally get that because it it was very overwhelming to start and just jump into 140 and have all these combos and a bunch of different abilities.
There's so many skills at 140. Like there was like pages. I was like, listen.
Yeah, it has a skill bloat potential issue. I know some people like having a ton of abilities, and it does have some that are more utility based, but like with the hunter, the burglar, lore master, all those classes have a lot of abilities. Can be very useful, but just adds a lot to your skill bar.
I think one thing that I did enjoy about it, I like that you were able to do like a lot of like AoE. I think there were like, oh god, what was the skill? But there was like little pots that you can throw on the ground to like do some damage over time.
Those were fun.
Those were great, and I loved that.
I will say the yellow line has a lot of those. I think some people have been describing them as kind of like alchemy type themes to it, which functionally is not too dissimilar to some yellow line burglar stuff, but also not too dissimilar to some yellow line lore master stuff. And even if you ask me, a little bit of yellow line hunter is thrown into yellow line mariner. So there's a lot going on to it, essentially, but that could potentially be a spec you enjoy if you enjoy all the, I don't know, alchemy type stuff, throwing fire pots and different things like that at your enemies.
Yeah, that was really fun. I think the class will be fun. My initial experience with 30 minutes was pretty overwhelmed, and I just felt like it was going to be another type of warden class, so I didn't find it that fun. But overall, I have higher hopes for it. I'm sure that they're gonna find the good sweet spot.
Just going to the class fantasy perspective with the Mariner, I think there's a lot of interesting things about it. It's like a pirate that's not really a pirate. Maybe more generally about class fantasy, I think there's a lot of positive aspects to it, but it's very different from what we have. I think compared to the Brawler, I'm a lot more excited for the Mariner. And just some of their swordplay, it's almost like fencing type archetype with just the way they go about combat. So I don't know, it's kind of interesting, but I feel like for me, it's probably going to fall into the realm of maybe burglar, captain, lore master hybrid. It's kind of got a mix of all those that in one way makes it fun, but in another way makes it not as fun. So I don't know. I have high hopes for the Mariner.
Yeah, me too. I definitely, I set really high expectations for it, and yeah, when you compare it to Brawler, I mean, it's already better in some ways than Brawler was just from early beta stuff, but I do like the class concept a lot. Like I think that maybe just some of the like skills or just some of the mechanics, maybe. I think that's kind of where it kind of fell a little too overwhelming for me, but I really do like the concept, and I think it's pretty good for what they've got. So I would say it's fun.
Fun? Okay, I'd probably push it up to very fun, but I think fun can be a good place for where it is in beta now, especially if you are thinking again from the maybe perspective of it being a very advanced class with all the swordplay mechanics.
Yeah, I do like the sword, like a little bit how it's like a fencing base class too. I think that'll be super enjoyable to get more of that.
I think it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out when the full release comes, because I've seen a lot of people give feedback about their different abilities and the such and flow of combat, so I'm kind of curious where that might lead it when the expansion, or at least the class, actually launches, which I suspect, kind of like with Gunabat and Brawler, will be before the expansion launch, maybe a month-ish or so before, maybe mid to late October, we could already have this class in game.
Let's hope!
Which I don't know if I'd recommend if you're worried about it being an advanced class. I don't know if I'd recommend immediately Valoring it to level 140 or whatever. Yeah. Maybe just start from the beginning.
Yeah, I think for me, I did try out like a little bit of the gameplay for it. I'm like, I probably would have had a better time just having a low level character and going from there instead of 140 instantly.
Yeah, I definitely think it would have been easier to adjust to the mechanics, because I was thinking the same thing. I was like, when I was kind of in the middle of the overwhelming phase and building the character out, I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, maybe I should have done level 10, level 20, level 30.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. So, but yeah, I'm excited for the class. I think it'll have a decent outcome. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think at the very least, you said it well. Excited for the class, even if it's maybe not been the most fun for at least you 30 minutes of playtime and even me 2 hours of playtime. As much as I have had fun on it and I'm very excited for it, there have been elements that haven't been as fun, or maybe I'm a bit more conflicted on.
I'm conflicted on a couple different things with it, but I think overall they'll probably make a decent choice with some of the feedback that they've gotten. So
I really think just in general, in terms of the beta experience, it's been so much better than Brawler. So that's another thing that gives me higher hopes for it than Brawler was.
yep.
So now we've rated every class, plus Brawler, which is definitely here on the list. And it's kind of interesting how this turned out, I think. Perhaps I honestly didn't know what to expect going into this, but I'm very happy that we have 0 boring classes here for LOTRO.
Yeah, agreed. I'm actually thrilled that someone like actually understands the love of Bjorning as well. So yeah, I like how this turned out, honestly. We might have put a lot of things in the fun class, or, the fun section, but I think it's overall good.
I mean, there's a lot of classes that are just kind of simply fun in LOTRO.
Yeah, true.
I mean, some of them, I feel like we have a little bit of a bias for the tactical classes, so we push them up to very fun. But if I were rating this, I definitely would put Warden higher. But I mean, otherwise, I think it's a very reasonable list of what is fun in LOTRO and what is not. And that's why I actually really liked having your perspective, and I appreciate you joining me for this video, because again, when I just rate this, it's all my opinion and what I think, and I get tired of that. So that allowed for classes like the Warden to not be at the top.
Yeah, true. I'm glad that we could at least find a stable ground on Warden, because I was really nervous going into this. Like, oh gosh, how bad is this gonna be? So yeah, I would probably personally change a couple things too, but I like how it is. And you've definitely offered a lot more perspective, so thank you. Because now I'm gonna go back and be like, oh yeah, like some of this. Yeah, maybe I was being a little too harsh. So yeah.
Yeah, I tend to think harshly about things that I don't like, and sometimes forget or just not pay as much attention to things I like about certain classes.
But thank you again for having me here. I appreciate it. We'll have to do another tier list, maybe.
Yeah. So this is our list of what we think are the most fun classes in LOTRO. Let us know your thoughts in the comments if you agree with the list or think it's weird. If you enjoyed this weird video, please consider liking and subscribing for more, or checking out Aubrey the Weird One.
You can check me out over on YouTube or Twitch, and I have content for newer players on LOTRO.
And with that, thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching!